yet. There we go. And we're live. Hello, everybody.
Every time without fail.
That's it.
Yup.
Whoop, whoop. No hellscape.
No hellscape.
No hellscape. Hello, everybody. My name is Shut Up, Kristen.
And my name is Atomic Cat.
And together we make Catt Kristen, where we talk about cosplay in the community every single week.
Almost every single week.
Yeah, for the most part. We've only missed a couple of weeks.
We've been pretty consistent.
It's true. We've only missed a couple of weeks. And it's always been because of, like, work commitments that we've missed out. Like, it's never been, like...
we don't want to do it.
Yeah, we don't want to do this. Yeah, we've never done that, ever.
We have never done that. No. And thank heaven for that.
Whoop, whoop.
Because where would y'all be? Without us?
Hello, everybody. We have a nice fair amount of people here to start off today.
Yes, we do.
That's lovely. Hello, everybody.
Hi, kittens.
So, today we are tackling a loaded topic. Which, if you've read the description, you already have figured out, which is politics in cosplay.
Didn't
specifically.
You just completely and totally unplanned unison.
Yep, politics. What a great time. Except not really, but like here we are. So,
as politics go.
Yeah. We wanted to have a conversation about whether or not brands, specifically cosplay brands or photography brands, should make their political affiliations a part of their brand. I'm
trying to, you know.
Oh, yeah, where to start?
Where does one begin?
Yeah.
When it comes to politics in relation to cosplay brand?
I think I would start off by saying, and I said this before we even started, I don't know that there is a right or wrong answer to this question. I think it's something that a lot of people are dealing with right now. I think it's a thing that...
Given the climate, given the political climate as of late, a lot of people have become very emboldened to make certain statements, we'll say.
Yeah.
And there are some people, and we're very much on opposite ends of the spectrum because she will shy very, very far away from posting any type of political nonsense on their Facebook page, whereas I happily make posts about my own political viewings.
Yeah.
And the reason I personally do that, and this is on my... public page,
right?
Not my Tomcat Conmon page,
right?
But on my own public page, where I will just start a conversation.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, someone will post something they don't agree with, and I will either let other people do the talking or start a dialogue with them.
Right.
And you know, it really becomes sort of this this interesting conversation that takes place in Facebook land.
Yeah.
Because it's Facebook land.
Yeah.
You're behind a computer screen.
Totally.
You wouldn't necessarily say some of the things you would
or get as aggressive
if you were in person.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of the reasons why I post to begin with. Because I like checking how my audience interacts with each other.
Yeah.
Making sure that everyone is sort of like getting along. And if it reaches a point where it's just like, well, this person's being mean, I'll be like, let's play nice, kids. Right. I actually had to do that to one person.
Yeah, so to get into, I guess, my side of it, I used to post a lot of stuff that was like conversation starters on my Facebook. And the reason why I shy away from it now is not because I'm not very clear in my political beliefs and not because I don't value other people's opinions, but the reason that I do not personally is because I have not had a single productive conversation on Facebook about anything involving politics. People get super aggressive with one another. And for me, personally, I've never seen a solid and like really good conversation come out of me posting those sorts of things on Facebook. And for me, I'm like, okay, so I would much rather have those conversations in person with someone or here on a live stream where
where we
I can
actually
interact
communicate
and where you can see
people.
where you can see my intention, and you can also, because that's the other thing, people get so defensive because they can't hear what other people are saying. They can't get from them the what they're talking about.
We mentioned this. This in our last episode, where it was just very like this one voice you hear can be very monotone, or you're going to put your own inflection on it and piss yourself off.
Totally.
And nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Hi Linz, says it's not a requirement, but honestly, dialogue shouldn't be feared. And I definitely agree with you. I've incorporated pride flag into my Harley cosplay, and I'm an avid supporter of feminism, etc. But there's a difference between a dialogue and being nasty and aggressive. And I think the whole reason why I shy away from doing that, and I actually am very political on Twitter. I'm not, that's really the only place where I'm like really political. But like on Facebook, I've only really had nasty and aggressive conversations. And I also don't love when I post something and then two people that I know that don't know each other will start talking to one another on the comment section and start yelling at one another or getting really aggressive with one another. I don't like being the instigator for that sort of conversation, and I just don't. It makes me feel like, great, now I don't have control over, like, not that I don't have control over people, but like, I like, they don't know that person, they don't know that person, they have no idea what each other's talking, and they're just not listening. They're just not listening, and that sort of thing really annoys me.
That's the other problem that really it takes away from the whole Facebook experience or the whole social media experience.
Yeah.
If your goal is to just name call somebody in the heat of an argument,
that's what I see.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
There was actually one point in time when I had made a statement on some post about some argument involving I think it was gays in Iran or gays in Iraq and how they were treated.
Yeah.
And I had made a comment saying something. I ended up saying something. And one of the things that I was combated with was someone saying, I hope they get you next. And I'm like, you don't know who I am.
And that's where I will say that, like, to be clear too, politically, like 100% on all my social media, it's very clear that I'm a supporter of the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm a huge supporter. I am a feminist. I believe in equal rights for women, and I believe that at its core is what feminism is, and so I would classify myself as a feminist. Mm-hmm. And there are many things that if you were to ask me, you're more than welcome to approach me and ask me these sorts of things, but I don't find that the open forum dialogue works for me.
I mean, on social media, yes, you do. You run the risk of there being this sort of colossal melange of nonsense happening on your feed. I actually posted something recently about, again, something I can't even remember what it was, but I know that it caused a big stir. Oh. It was the white supremacist Nazi rally taking place not far from Otakon. Yeah. And it started a big discussion over freedom of speech and all that fun stuff. And part of me is like, I want to see how this plays out, because it's just idle curiosity, and sometimes I enjoy stirring the shit pot. Just don't hand me the spoon.
That is the clear difference between you and I. Is I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I don't got time for this shit, and you're like, well. What do we have here?
What can I just like? I want to wrap myself in the tentacles of love is what I want to do.
Yeah, and I like, again, it's not a fear of. I'm like a super I'm actually like a very political person. I'm like, I find politics to be like super important, and I think it's something that you should be educated about, and yada yada. I think though, I don't blame people that don't want to outwardly declare large political statements on their brands for fear of either side attacking them.
I mean,
it's a hard topic.
There's a big difference between the being, hello, Jack. Yes, we see you, lovey.
Hello, Jack.
One of the things that you need to remember as a cosplayer is fact is very important.
Yeah.
If you're going to post something, find the facts.
Oh.
Google is your BFF.
That's one of my, like, also least favorite things about Facebook is I feel like on the daily I fact check people on Facebook.
You have
and I will
to.
and
You
I'll
have
post
to.
like I remember a couple weeks ago there was someone who had posted a thing that was of Whoopi Goldberg, as if there was this big photoshopped image of Whoopi Goldberg going around. I think it had something where like Trump was shooting his brains out on her shirt or something, and it was photoshopped. It was not real. And the moment that I saw this image, because people were reposting it and they're like, this is disgusting, this is a disgrace, I was like, that does not look real. It took me 2 minutes on Google to verify that it wasn't real. And like very politely, I dropped the link in like this person's thing, and I was like, just so you know, this is not
This
a real
is not
thing.
real.
I agree with you. If it were real, it would be like, you know, etc. Like, this is not real. And it's just,
But what were the reactions that you got? Were people listening to you and saying yes, or
finally, very luckily, this person, like, one other person had also commented and been like, this doesn't seem real. And then I added facts, and that person deleted the post, which I respect. But some people, it's like,
some people like to argue.
They just like to argue. They like to play devil's advocate. And I don't think that that's necessarily wrong, but it is when it gets nasty, aggressive, and mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
When the mud starts when the mud starts being flung back and forth is when it becomes an issue. Right. And there are times when if you're the admin, you have to sort of step in. And in relation to cosplay, it sort of runs the same way. Do you want your cosplay brand to be associated with oh, well, this person likes talking about that. This person is pro this person is pro that. Right. Sometimes it's very important. Like that one cosplayer whose husband was at the Nazi rally in Virginia or wherever it was. Yeah. Sometimes it's kind of sort of important to have these sort of conversations with people. Yeah. And yes, we will always say freedom of speech is very important. That does not mean that you are free from consequences. Yeah, very true. So hold on, give me a second. There are some interesting comments. There's a lot of comments.
Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Adam says, easy answer, no. Your political affiliation has zero bearing on your cosplay. Unless you are cosplaying a character that has a political agenda, I don't want to hear that shit. And that's also super interesting because...
That runs sort of in the same vein as me and Kristen were talking about this before we even started.
I know exactly where you're going. Yeah.
Actors being told, you don't have...
I don't want to hear your politics. Exactly. I don't want to hear your opinion.
Like, for instance...
Dance, monkey, dance. That's what I hear, I swear, when I hear that stuff.
For instance, the cast of Hamilton, for those that don't know, what did they do? Did they take a knee while Mike Pence was there?
No,
or did they
I think they did a speech at the end. They didn't refuse to perform. They performed.
They performed.
They did like a speech at the end, I think.
Wasn't it Lin-Manuel Miranda who?
Yeah, or one of the main, whoever was one of the main people at that time.
Gave the speech. Yeah. And to those that don't know, cosplay, performing, acting, they're all forms of art. Yeah. And art always has a very interesting relationship to politics.
Yeah, it does.
If you are a person that doesn't want to hear politics or deal with politics or be in any sort of forum where politics are happening, live under a rock.
Yeah, especially in this climate. It's unfortunate because part of me, as a really actively political person, part of me is like, oh, I wish that this would go away for a little bit. Like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting, but it is the nature of where we're at right now, and that's super unfortunate. But I also think that there's something to be said for like, no, I don't want to hear that shit. And I'm not attacking you, Adam, by any means. But saying, no, I don't want to hear that shit is also being like, well... I mean, my opinion is still valid, and as long as I am not putting down your opinion with my opinion, and I'm not
as long as you're not aggressive, or oppressive to me.
Yeah, as long as like that's not happening, I don't think that people's opinions are are something that we should be hiding, and I don't think it's something. I think it's also very easy. Like, of course, if you learn something about someone that you don't enjoy, it's gonna change your outlook on them, right? But like, let's say tomorrow I found out a cosplay I really liked had a different political affiliation from me. As long as it wasn't something like so like as long as it was something that I didn't like fundamentally, morally, whatever, disagree with, I would be like, they still make great cosplays. Yeah.
As long as it doesn't go against your morals.
Yeah.
You should be able to appreciate a person's
opinion.
Art, and appreciate a person's opinion.
And I can still be like, you know, I don't really agree with their politics, but wow, they make great cosplays, you know? And then it's also up to you in what way you want to support that person. But I think saying outright, like, you shouldn't have an opinion and you shouldn't post your opinion is not necessarily, especially, not unfortunately, because it's actually really fortunate. In the cosplay community, to be fair, politics do kind of come up because we consider, like, the LGBT community a political, unfortunately, community in some way. Because, like, yeah, I know. And I feel the same way. But you figure the cosplay community on a whole is a super progressive community, and it's very accepting. And in that way, like, these conversations are going to come up.
Yes.
So really, at a lot of points, we're, like, one step away from getting into larger conversations, you know?
Very much so. We're almost at being able to have as many political discussions as we can. It's just there are a lot of people that are so involved in their opinions.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this diabolical morphing monster.
I don't think it should turn into your whole brand.
No, not
Still about costume making, you know?
You're literally a person in a costume.
Yeah.
You're not a politician.
No.
So one of the things that we've said since the start of this thing is everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation.
If something comes up, I posted on my Instagram the other day, and I ended up deleting it very simply because afterwards I felt like I'd gotten it out of my system, and I was like, okay, a bunch of people have seen this. Why don't I just take it down? I was really frustrated with, like, the immigration shit that's been going on and people being separated from their families. And I was like, this should not be, to me, it seemed like a really a nonpartisan issue. And I posted something about it, and, like, moments afterwards I was like, you know what, that was really me, something that I needed to get out, and I don't even necessarily know that I need to have the conversation with anyone, because it feels like such a moral part of my ground that, like, if something comes up, I will 100% repost politically, but it's not my brand.
Exactly. You have to ask yourself that question. Yeah. Is this something that Shut Up Kristen would say, or is this something that Kristen Nicole would say?
Right.
Because I have to ask myself that same question.
Yeah. I mean, my brand is kind of me, though, so it's kind of...
Tomcat don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to read Nadel's comment.
Yeah, there's actually a
lot of comments. We're going to try to go through them because this is definitely more of a conversation that we'd like to have with you guys, not just us. So I don't mind discussing politics. I love stimulating intellectual conversations, things that will make me think and that I could learn from. But for conversation to be civil, even if you don't agree, is required. As such, in political, gender, and religious discussion, in my experiences, such is extremely rare. Completely agreed. I think it would be one's own business if they want to put their political side into cosplay, but I feel like it's something that can go really bad really fast, since online, like Tom was saying, it's Facebook land, and people can hide behind a screen and say things they'd never say to them in person. Too much drama. And I feel totally similarly. Lynn says, there's also the in-person element. I had an issue where someone had a very difficult political opinion from me, and almost every issue, and people, not just in cosplay, need to remember that there is the option to agree to disagree. Always remain professional and try not to get heated. Yeah, and that's overall a huge problem that people are having right now.
That the community has an issue with.
That the world has an issue with.
No, the world, humanity has an issue with that.
Right now, I saw a tweet just the other day that was like, I must burn this person to the ground because they have a singular different opinion than I do. And I was like, oh, if that's not representative of where we're at right now, it's like, I will defriend this person right now.
That ain't indicative of the political climate we are in right now.
ALJ Cosplay might have even tweeted that. It's just like, it's crazy. People have opinions. That's what makes us, like, great and beautiful and different.
And this is something that I will say until my dying day.
Yeah.
Everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
It's when fact is introduced that your opinion may not be fact, and you have to own up to that.
Yeah.
Don't be that person who's like, oh, well, I'm still right.
Yeah.
No, you're not, darling. Try again.
Yeah.
Especially, and that's something that a lot of people are having this sort of issue with.
Well, the issue right now, too, and, like, this is obviously, like, a huge issue everybody knows about, is that, like, also there are tons of not facts out there right now. So
there's alternative facts. There's fake news.
Yeah, it's super hard to know what is even true anymore, and that's, like, a really unfortunate thing. But, yeah.
I figured this is life, and I went back to my sequins.
That's it.
Yeah, there's, I promise you, there's a lot of, Christy Lynn is watching.
Oh, Christy Lynn's like, oh shit, I actually am on time almost. Great.
Caitlin Twohi.
Tui.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Caitlin. They did a speech, but it was super inclusive. This was the Hamilton thing. It was welcoming people. Yeah, I totally agree that a lot of people had a lot of opinions about the Hamilton thing at the time. I thought it was appropriate because it was not hateful. It was not aggressive. It was
a dialogue.
It was a dialogue. It was at the end of the show. It was not a hateful message. It was not anything that would riot people up. It was an open letter. And whether people think that's an appropriate thing for someone who paid for a show or not, I think you've taken on a political role as one of the leads of our country. So I think that unfortunately you're held to a different standard. So
the other problem is I wouldn't have minded if he stayed and listened. He got up and walked out.
I thought he did listen, though.
Did he listen to all of it?
He listened.
I could have sworn I remember seeing some video somewhere. See, this is what we have.
Yeah.
We must fact check.
I don't remember. That was a little while ago, but yeah. I see social media as a platform. On my personal page, my views are very clear. On my cosplay page, my politics tend to always have a relation to cosplay because politics can impact cosplay, and I agree with you definitely.
The other thing is there's a lot of people that impersonate political figures at conventions. Ladies and gentlemen, I have something very important to tell you. If you are going to go to a convention and cosplay as Hitler, you have nothing positive to bring. You have nothing positive to bring to the fold. I don't care how classy you think Union Jacks are. Not Union Jacks. Oh God, there's a certain name for the suit that they wear.
I can't remember what it is either.
No.
Yeah,
no. The
garb.
Sorry.
That's super inappropriate. Yeah.
It's incredibly inappropriate. I've seen people cosplay as Donald Trump.
Yeah. I've
seen people cosplay as Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
As long as you're not being a dick about it, you're fine.
Yeah. Like, do I particularly want to see a Donald Trump running around a con? No, but that's their choice. That's their decision. As long as they're not bothering me, I'm not bothering them, you know? That's it. And if they were to come up to me and start a conversation, I would be totally polite. I would be totally whatever. Like, we all gotta stop being so, like, if you do this one thing that is not, in fact, hurting anybody or whatever, like, if you do this one thing, I'm not speaking to you ever. I'm gonna unfriend you. I'm gonna whatever. Like, that to me is, like, so oppressive in its own right. You know? Do you get what I mean?
No. I understand where you're coming from. It's a very complicated...
It is complicated.
It's a very complicated puzzle, and that's why we're having these conversations.
Yeah, totally. We both understand that this is like, I mean, this is probably the most taboo topic, to be honest, that we've done so far. Oh, yeah. Like, this is probably the most taboo topic.
Who cares about the rumor mill? It's politics and cosplay that really cause the nonsense.
Well, and to be honest, too, like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Some cosplayers that I know that I'm friends with on Facebook are some of the biggest people that will comment on posts that I make of their political opinions and are so aggressive. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did not know this about you, but here we are. And, like, it's just, like, I don't know where the line is. I don't know if there should be a line.
You're going to ask the question, where is the line drawn?
Yeah, it's just crazy. And then Matt, it's super interesting too, because Matt has this whole conversation stood by, no, post your convictions and heart. However, what does MHO stand for?
My humble opinion.
My humble opinion, I think cosplay and politics should not mix.
To a degree, yes.
I think that's inevitable, though.
But yes, that's the problem. It is completely and totally inevitable because there are a lot of opinions in the cosplay community. It's the same thing with any community. There will always be opinions. There will always be someone feeling some type of way about some type of law that may or may not be passed. And given the climate of things as of recent, it's becoming more and more a topic of conversation that everyone is having. Should we shy away from them? Absolutely not. In my opinion, I don't think you should shy away from these conversations, be they in person or over the internet. It's when it gets too much to you and it's raising your anxiety and it's raising your blood pressure that you say, I'm done having this discussion with you. Catch me outside. How about that?
Indeed. The most political conversation is a catch me outside conversation. I think it's just like, it's hard because part of me does wish that cosplayers would not post about their political opinions, but then I'm also like, but I would never want to be told that I can't post about this thing, and I think it is important to some degree.
There's that illustration that I sent one of my friends, and it's the philosophy of the paradox of tolerance. And you know what? Let me see if I could pull that up. As a matter of fact, we are getting a lot
more. We are definitely.
We are definitely getting a lot.
Are you pulling stuff up? Do you want me to read some comments?
Read some comments.
Okay.
Vamp.
Pretty much. Wait. Nadell said, it amazes me how passionate people get in regards to politics, of specifically their opinion, and when someone doesn't agree with it, they want to go the violent route. It's very disturbing because in regards to politics, idols or celebrities, they don't care about someone's ferocity, violent opinion, nor will that incendiary opinion have anything to bring change, but c'est la vie, right? It's kind of crazy. And I know Walter had also said, I hate when people say celebrities should keep their mouth shut about politics just because they're in that occupation. You're supposed to keep your mouth shut. And I totally agree. I think when people were talking about all of the actors shutting up and like, shut up, I love your movies, I don't need to hear about your politics. It's like, well, they're a person. They're allowed to say whatever they want. And quite frankly, they have large platforms to make a difference. And so if they feel like they can make a difference and they feel empowered to try and make a difference towards whatever they're leaning towards, that's it. But you also don't see those people banning you from going to see their movies. You don't see those people. They're never gonna like it's kind of like a weird
it's a weird double-edged sword.
It's just bizarre
because we as civilians need to understand that our words have very little meaning to people of power. The way to talk to somebody in a position of power is to take that power away from them. Once you take that power away from them and you take away their agency, you're already halfway towards winning the entire war. For instance, and I'm going to get political because that's how Tomcat is, Donald Trump is... People say he doesn't have carte blanche. Guess what? He has carte blanche. What I mean by carte blanche, he has... You get the gist. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. A lot of people are under the impression that a blue wave is coming, which essentially means that Democrats are going to become voted in to the House and the Senate. And that's how you take away somebody's power. You make it so that they are incapable of doing anything with their words or with their pens. When it comes to actors and actresses, you want to take away their power, don't go and see their movie.
Which is why you see people boycott and whatever.
And you know, boycotting has become...
You know what I will say, though? If you want to boycott, I think that that's totally your choice. And that's totally... If that's your form of protest... totally fine, and that's like your deal. But I think also like recognizing that other people have other opinions and that necessarily that isn't always like, that doesn't always have to be the end deal breaker. Some of those things have some opinions have major consequences, and so I understand why some things are deal breakers, but we're reaching a point where like a lot of people are making a lot of opinions deal breakers, and that's only going to continue to separate people, separate the community,
which, if you haven't noticed, that's kind of how politics is working lately. Divide and conquer, as Napoleon said.
Yeah.
But what do we know? We're just two cosplayers.
And to be quite frank, like I'm sitting here like, listen, I'm an adult talking about politics right now in a hedgehog onesie. Like, what the hell do I know? But this is a conversation, you know? It's a conversation. It's just a whole thing. Let's see what our lovely Brooklyn Link, Eric, said. My opinion, call me crazy, but political leanings make or break whether or not I will support a cosplayer. I prefer to know where people stand.
And that is a very fair statement.
And that's your opinion. That's totally like, and like, don't get me like wrong. Like, if I find out that somebody I'm following is a Nazi, like, oh, bye sort of deal. But like, I don't know.
It becomes a very complicated process.
It's complex.
You're going to have people that are like, well, I don't like Trump, but I like some of his policies.
Yeah. Or I do like Trump, but I disagree from this and this and this.
And it's like, it becomes a really dodgy subject. And that's why I think a lot of people are starting to refrain from posting stuff within their cosplay brand, or within their actor brand or their athletic brand.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at what it's done for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
He's been chided by everybody, but he's done a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, the same could be said for cosplayers. There are cosplayers that will have their picture taking a knee. I think the surge of Black Panther cosplayers has really become a very politically charged form of protest, I guess we can say.
Oh yeah, well, Wakanda has turned into a symbol of
symbol of civil rights,
which in some way is like amazing. It's such a cool thing to come out of this piece of work, you know. And then I'm sure that there are people on the other end of the aisle, they're like, can we please keep that politics out of my Black Panther? And it's like, but does one exist without the other? You know, it's like a weird, there isn't, like I said at the beginning of this, for anybody that like has joined us late, like I don't believe that there is a right or wrong answer to this question. Some people in our conversation have very outright been like, no. Some people have been like, well, it seems like a gray area. And I think in general, it probably is more of like a gray area than
it's a very
anything
gray
else.
Area. That's why I decided to wear gray and red today.
There it is. Wonderful.
I make choices based on wardrobe.
That's it. Caitlin says, it's like telling family don't bring up politics during the holidays. It would probably make it more enjoyable, but it is inevitable that it'll come up. Yeah, which is a great analogy.
When I was with my ex, we would go to his family's house.
Yeah.
And the conversations that me and his uncle would have. Yeah. Just about gun control,
right,
and politics. Yeah. It was a very good conversation.
That's great.
That a millennial, and I call myself a millennial because I wouldn't necessarily call myself a Gen Xer.
No, I think
Gen Xers I think are in their 40s now.
Yeah.
But as a millennial, talking to a baby boomer was wonderful.
Yeah.
And like towards the end of the conversation would be like, just let me know if this is like really something that you really don't want to talk about again the next time you go over. Like we would have that sort of open dialogue, and that's what we need to have more
and
of.
For me, I will totally have any conversation you want in person or even in private messaging. I just don't like the open forum stuff. And what I don't like too is that where I think it becomes an issue is that I'll see people with their big cosplay brands. Like, I'll see people that have a lot of following, and they post an opinion, and someone will post something politely disagreeing with the opinion and asking more questions, and that cosplayer will violently respond, and then all of their followers will also, in kind, violently respond. And that, to me, is just like... It's what I imagine when I post anything on Facebook, you know?
Rehashing episode 33 of Catt Kristen.
Truly,
it's your responsibility
to
reel in
your
followers.
Don't be mean to one another. Nothing is going to get accomplished by you being mean.
There's another area of this cospolitia thing.
Yeah, that.
Trolls.
Trolls in the dungeons.
Troll in the dungeon!
I'm so proud that you knew that Harry Potter reference at the very least. At the very least.
For sheer dumb luck.
For sheer dumb luck.
Trolls are a thing. There will always be a troll out there that will have some type of thing to say
totally.
that will offend somebody.
Yeah.
Trolls' jobs are just that.
Yeah.
To be trolls.
Yeah.
It is up to you as an individual to make the cognitive choice to engage with said troll.
Yeah.
And, you know, Internet 101, don't feed the trolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Internet 101.
It's hard. Listen, as a person that's been making YouTube videos for 8 years now, it's so hard not to feed the trolls because you want to respond and you want to be that person that, like, gives it to them sort of deal.
Let other people give it to them.
You're never going to win. You're just never going to win.
Do not make trolls.
By not responding, you have already won.
Exactly.
You've already won. All right, let's read some comments.
Let's read some. Please, let's read some
My
comments.
beautiful burb has arrived. My wifey. Your daughter-in-law.
My daughter-in-law.
My ears are burning. You rang. I mean, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, my politics are part and parcel of my identity as much as they are my profession as a social worker. And as art, cosplay is inherently political. I'd rather stick by my convictions and get less likes than be silent or perceived to be on the side of oppression. And to be quite honest, I'd rather not support folks who want me dead, but YMMV. I don't know what that stands for. Burb, educate me.
YMMV.
But you may. Nope. No idea. Burb, let me know what that means.
Sorry.
And that's totally, I mean, and like I said, I think in some ways it is a little bit, again, there's like a ton of quote unquote political stuff in the cosplay community.
Scroll.
We might just have to do webcam. All right, we're just doing webcam. You guys can hear us, correct?
Yeah, now they can hear us.
You should be able to hear.
Try running a mic test.
There we go. I think we're good. Can you guys hear us?
Beep, boop. The sounds, but no voices. Just use sign language.
I can use sign language. You tempt me.
It's here. There you go. Okay.
I don't know if you guys missed our gay Dumbledore conversation. I don't know if you guys missed, which is just Dumbledore. It's not even gay Dumbledore. It's just Dumbledore. That's Dumbledore.
Okay.
Anyway,
guys,
fishnets potentially.
Dumbledore and fishnets was a topic of conversation. Wow, that was 5 whole minutes of uninterrupted nonsense.
Wow.
I mean, of interrupted nonsense.
Oh my gosh,
that was a journey. I'm
exhausted. That was so stressful.
The anxiety that the both of us have dealt with.
Thank you guys for letting us know and also continuing to tune in as you heard the beep boops of my computer.
Actually, we got more views because of that.
Wonderful, thank God. You know what?
That
sound issues, more issues. Yeah. Oh no, the sound's not working. That's it.
I'm gonna enjoy rewatching this episode in another like hour and a half.
Oh, that was funny. Wait, so did you guys hear anything about our Dumbledore conversation? Because it's worth
Was
repeating.
The Harry Potter conversation a thing?
Of course, it goes away for the Harry Potter conversation.
Sorry for breaking y'all with my millennial chat speak tomfoolery.
Literal tomfoolery.
I hate that word sometimes.
That's it. Well, yeah, I imagine. Okay, they did not hear any of
Jess
broke the video with her millennial slang. Wait, did we find out what it means?
Do we know what YMMV means?
I'm like, my boobs are sweating. It's just like
my underboob is sweating.
Okay.
We heard the trolls in the dungeon.
Dungeon. Okay, so.
Wow.
Okay,
we have to go all the way back to trolls.
Essentially, I really would like for Tom to cosplay Molly Weasley with me as his Ginevra, which I will say that they brought it up to me.
I did.
Me?
Do you know how many times I listened to the Howler speech heading home?
Oh, that's it. How dare you steal that car? I am absolutely disgusted. Oh, yep. I could go do the whole thing. Oh, it's great.
I was about to, and then she beat me to it.
Wait, YMMV means your mileage may vary. That's what it means.
Because we would know that.
She is hollering while we cut fabric. Ashley and Jess are together. That's great.
Fantastic.
Not TMI. I listen. My boobs sweat.
My boobs sweat too.
They sweat. If your boobs don't sweat, I don't know what to tell you. You lucky.
My boobs.
Brooklyn Link just said that I'll be your Harry. Ma'am. Eric, you can't say these things. You can't just say these things.
You can't just say these things
sweating.
to her. She is schwitzing like nobody's business.
Yes, please. Let's make it happen. But then, Tom was talking about how your wonderful mother...
How my mother, bless her soul, she said, and I quote, I would love to see you dress up as Dumbledore. Now, to those that don't know, there was a cartoon drawn however many years ago of Dumbledore, and I think it was just Dumbledore being the most Dumbledore he could possibly be, and just not caring about the students, not caring about Harry, just being this aggressively horrible.
I love Dumbledore so much, but like, yeah, okay.
And
looking into the mirror.
Looking into the mirror. Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking into the mirror of what?
Erised.
Thank you.
Desire backwards.
Looking in the. Oh, I love you so much.
You're welcome.
Looking into the mirror of Erised and seeing him with his wand in his mouth, showing off his hairy legs, his hairy butt in fishnets and garters.
And like that. Listen, that's just Dumbledore. I would keel over. I would be the troll in the dungeon. That would be me.
Ashley, if you need Hermione or Ginny, holler
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm Ginny.
She would be my Ginny.
Thank you. How dare you, Ashley? But also, like,
Not my daughter, you bitch!
Yes! Don't say these things without prompting me. I'm not prepared for you to suddenly make Harry Potter references. It's very off-brand. I go to the Homeland. Oh my God, wait, literally? Tom, in a week and one day, I will be at the Warner Brothers studio tour.
You're not ready for it.
In London.
You're not
ready for it. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna, guys, I'm gonna cry so hard. Oh my gosh.
So apparently for the next convention that all of us are at, it will be Harry Potter themed.
Yeah.
Because
that's it.
Everybody in the comments section is just throwing their hat in the ring.
That's it. And great, guys.
Great.
We're building our cosplay troupe right now. A long time ago, I started a very major Harry Potter build. That was an original concept of one of the magical creatures. And I just had, I realized I didn't have enough experience to be attempting what I was attempting. But
how divine.
Because it involved feathers. A lot of them.
I love feathers.
A lot of them. But
don't they look lovely, June?
One day I'm gonna get on that.
A lot of cosplays.
Yeah, a lot of cosplays.
Speaking of cosplays.
So back to politics in cosplay.
One thing that I would like to say, in relation to brand integrity, if you want politics to be a part of who you are as a cosplayer, do it.
Yeah, totally.
It's personal. Politics, religion, and what was the other one? The Great Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin.
Politics, religion, and the Great Pumpkin are all personal to you.
Yeah.
How you feel about them.
Yeah.
If you feel some type of way, feel it. If you think it's going to gain you followers, lose your followers, do something that makes you feel some type of way. If it makes you feel good, do it.
Yeah, totally.
Only person stopping you is you, and maybe one troll who'll be like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that because reasons.
Yeah. I like what Eric said, which is stand by what you stand for. And I think that in general, that is what I do on my pages. Yes. I don't every single day post something, but I'll completely stand by what I stand for.
I can't speak loudly enough about Canvas Cosplay because one of the things that he is very well known for is being this sort of beacon of light for people in this community, because he is very open about his politics, and he actually made a status recently or within the last couple of months, saying, you think that I'm not a very politically charged person, but look at who I'm cosplaying as.
Yeah.
Look at the norms that I am breaking. Look at all of these rules that I'm sort of going against. And that's how I generally operate with most of my cosplays, where yes, most of the time who I'm cosplaying as is very much characteristically charged, but it's also very political in that I break a lot of gender norms.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do this because I want to do this. And in general, that is making a political statement of I believe if
when
you
you think you're not making a political statement, you're making a political statement.
Yeah. Which is one of the unfortunate truths of our current time is everything is a political statement in some way, shape, or form. But it's just part of the norm. And I was literally going to say the same thing as you, because Anderson said, as somebody who's crossplays, anytime I put on that long wig, it's a political statement.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think you anytime that you put on a wig, it's in some way a political statement. Yeah, because you are breaking a norm. You're breaking what traditionally people say, nah.
There was actually, I'm trying to think, I'm pretty sure it was Anderson, correct me if I'm wrong, darling, you had mentioned that cosplay and comics, they go hand in hand.
Oh, yeah.
And the X-Men is a very politically charged.
There are a lot of politically charged comics.
There are a lot of politically charged comics out there. So regardless of whether or not you think you're making a political statement, you're still making one by putting on a certain outfit.
Totally.
If you're putting on the costume of someone that is oppressed, you're making a statement.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Unless you're cosplaying as Batman, in which case he's just a Mary Sue. A Mary Jane. Mary Sue, Mary Jane?
I think Mary Jane, maybe.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Mary Sue.
Mary Sue?
Mary Sue, who's just
Mary Jane would be Marvel.
Very much so. She baited me with that one. But yeah. Thank you, Eric. It is Mary Sue.
Yeah. Almost every major comic franchise is political. Yeah. In some way or shape or form. And it's unfortunate too, because I think now, because of the politically like charged environment that we're in, people are now suddenly starting to notice that in movies. Yeah.
Hold on. Matt, I want to read your comment
Wait,
aloud.
yes.
I will share. I had what I thought was a close friend talk me out of cross-playing as Xena.
No!
You cosplay as whomever the hell you want to.
Yeah.
That in and of itself
Yeah.
is the reason why people cosplay.
Totally.
Is because it's freedom of expression.
And that's not, and like, honestly, if we're talking about politics, in general, cosplay and what cosplay is supposed to represent entirely is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Like, in general, when you are cosplaying, you are saying, I am allowed to be whoever I want to be. And I can, like, you know, if I want to embrace the characteristics of this person, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to try and embrace, like, who they are, I can. And, like, in general, cosplay is a beautiful, beautiful expression of freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
Put this on my epitaph.
Yeah.
Cosplay is performance art.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It really is in so many ways, shapes, and forms. Jessica Lynn says, "Do you? I will fight them."
That's right.
That's it. Done. Burb is on police burb.
Katie Starr says, I just wrote a blog about this topic in the past week.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I never shut up about politics. Cosplay, I largely let my costumes make a statement.
Yeah.
A lot of my costumes are these really strong female characters, which speaks volumes of how I see and approach my politics.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I agree. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. Let's see. Jack said, I did weight training to make crossplay better. Method acting for the win, lol. Oh, method acting was my least favorite part of my theater major.
Oh, I love method acting.
Oh, I hate method acting.
I love it so much.
It depends. It depends, actually. It depends. Because I think that there are some method acting techniques that work, but for me, some of it, I am definitely on team. It seems like bullshit a little bit. Seems like bullshit a little bit. But certain things I agree with.
Fair enough.
Certain things. There are certain Meisner, fuck off. Meisner can fuck off. I hated Meisner.
Yeah.
But that's me. And if you like Meisner, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, you like Meisner, so you're wrong. You're a wrong actor, and I am not gonna support you anymore because you use Meisner techniques.
Is there really a problem? Are you done, ma'am?
No,
all the gestures.
To do the YMCA.
All the gestures.
That's it.
Every last gesture
Always.
in existence.
Yeah.
Is there really that much disparity in acting techniques?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. You learn all of these different techniques and
well, no, I know there
are just a lot of different. Some people believe inherently that like certain techniques make you a better actor or certain techniques will get you more into the headspace. And for me, a lot of that stuff I just think I think a lot of people that say that they're using these techniques are not necessarily actually using these techniques and they're bullshitting. Some of them I think probably are, but for me, I was never able to tune in to some of these specific techniques.
I am a member of the B. Arthur School for Dramatic Arts.
Yeah, that's it. Done. And you found your person. That's it.
There are some people that go through Utah Hagen, go to Utah Hagen, Uta Hagen.
Yeah, Lee Stroud. Yeah, it's
Ethel like Barrymore.
Yeah. There's so many.
Lionel Barrymore. Betty Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, but again,
there's differences in opinion.
It's differences in opinion, and it all has to do with performance art.
Yeah, totally.
Using these methods of performing is making a politically charged statement.
Yeah.
Definitely. You think I put on boobs and hips for my health? You're out of your damn mind. Shit.
Oh my gosh. I just enjoy, you know what, like, and this just brings me back to kind of like when people were like, actors should shut up about their political views. Part of me is like, those same people that were being like, actors should shut up about their political views are like in a different profession, not shutting up about their political views on Facebook. And I'm like, what makes that different? You're just jealous, quite frankly, that they have a larger platform to reach more people. And like, I just don't think that I just don't like.
The reason I'm laughing so much is because sports is the same fucking thing.
What are sports?
Athletes. What is the sport ball?
Sports.
What is sports? If you are an athlete, an actor, someone with a platform, you can do with it as you please.
Yep. Well, it's sort of the thing of everybody being like, I can't believe those football players kneeling. And part of me is like,
find first and foremost,
don't watch their games. So sorry.
Find out why they're kneeling in the first place.
And then you can be like, okay, I disagree with why they're kneeling, but I still enjoy them as a football player or whatever. Or you can be like, no, that's against what I stand for and I'm not going to watch them anymore. And that's also completely up to your opinion and up to your discretion. But like, oh my God. That's Jessica. Do you think I put on boobs and hips for my health? I'm rolling.
I mean, I literally have become the uncle and aunt from Mrs. Doubtfire. Who did this to you? Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack.
That's amazing.
I just don't sound like Harvey Fierstein.
Yeah. I almost said Weinstein. It's so sad for the Harveys out there. So sorry. So sorry that now.
Harvey Milk, you haven't been avenged.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. Okay, wait. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Hello. Greetings.
Holy guacamole.
Batman. My performance art requires me in tights and pick up other men in tights. Wonderful. And roll around in tights.
Walter
is living his best life. That's it.
Walter's living my best life.
You're like, Walter, invite me sometime. That's it. Yeah.
First and foremost, read the rest of the damn anthem.
And so directors are allowed to be political, but not actors. And my whole thing is like, I think anybody in general, this conversation we're having, anybody is allowed to be political.
Anybody is
allowed. Like, yeah.
You know, that's the answer to the question that we started this conversation with.
Yeah.
Should politics be allowed in cosplay? Cosplay is political.
Yeah.
Whether you want to believe it or not.
Yeah. And I think it's more of a spectrum of like how in your face you're going to get and how like if you're going to be really discussion oriented or if you're going to be like super in your face and aggressive about it. And like I think that there's a happy middle ground that we all need to find, like in general, outside of the cosplay community too.
Everything in moderation.
And we all have to like be open to listening to one another.
Yes.
That's it. Even if you were to say something where I'm like, I morally disagree with you, like I would still like listen to you. And my response would be, I morally disagree with that. But like, is there anything...
Is that going to change the relationship?
Yeah, and it depends. That's your own discretion, you know?
Is that going to change how you view somebody?
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be liked for having a specific political
That's
view.
really the whole thing. And like, in general, it's just kind of like, would you rather people would you prefer that nobody knows your political affiliations, that you're not discounting anyone from liking you? Or would you like to be a little bit more honest so that you know that the people that are following you are aware of your political views and they probably align with them? A big question though, too, to be honest, too, is like, if you're, let's say, like a photographer or a commissioner who makes their political views really apparent, you could lose business. You could lose business from that.
It depends on how it's It depends on how it's stated, because there are photographers out there that do run a certain type of way, and there are commissioners out there that will run a certain type of way.
Yeah,
and it's up to you as an individual to say, I don't want to work with them. Because if you are the type of person that will work with them in spite of that fact, you're an asshole.
Mm.
If you're going to go out of your way to work with someone you know you won't gel with politically, why would you do that? Why would you do
if that even affects your decision, you know? If it's something that you are like, if you look at their political views and
I'll give you a for instance.
Yeah, totally.
If there is a photographer or a commissioner out there, and you know, this also ties a lot into the whole the baker that won't make the gay cake.
I know, that will discriminate.
If you know immediately, not even through their own words, but through the grapevine, if you've heard that they will not work with a certain type of individual because of their sex or their race, you have a moral obligation to basically say,
right,
they ain't getting my business.
yeah,
But to then go
yeah,
and be in their face about it, that's where it's sort of like you're crossing a line.
yeah,
Because you already knew going into the transaction that they were not going to respect you for what you
right,
stand
right,
for.
right, yeah, yes, totally.
And I think that's something that a lot of people are having a really hard time dealing with.
Yeah. Well, and because there's that sort of inherently, then what we're talking about is discrimination.
There's that gigantic
and it's
gray
very different
area.
with being like, I am for this and you are for this and we are for separate things, but that doesn't affect our relationship, be it like commissioner to person commissioning them or photographer or whatever, as if there's no discrimination going on there. But sometimes there is, and sometimes people get so outraged that they're like, I'm not going to work with you. Or like on either end of the spectrum, as a person that's a cosplayer booking a photographer, they find out something about the photographer and they're like, I'm not booking with you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then, it's super layered. It's a lot.
It's an onion.
Yeah,
it's
it is an onion.
Super duper large Vidalia onion.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Everything is politics. Eric says everything is politics. Wow, Eric went from Brooklyn Link to Eric. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh, you've transformed.
You've evolved.
The illusion is gone.
He's become the Alolan version of himself.
Everything is politics. Unfortunately, not everything should be politics. Women shouldn't still be fighting for equal rights, nor should black people, nor should LGBT,
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Sarah made a very interesting comment.
Yeah.
As a former teacher, I didn't feel comfortable talking about my political views. And you are
that's a tough
line. Is very difficult.
It is totally. I think about that all the time because like in my brain, some of my favorite teachers ever were my most political teachers. But I also do think that as an educator, I think that you should be able to personally do whatever you want, but in front of a classroom, I think that there is something to be said for like people are trying to find their own way and educate themselves. And I think presenting all of the information is really all you can do in some ways, but it's hard. That's a hard
lot of the
thing.
Time it comes down to being able to have an open dialogue with either a group or an individual.
Yeah.
If you can carry an adult conversation with somebody, you're already winning.
Yeah.
If you physically cannot bring yourself to talk to somebody that may or may not have voted for Trump or may or may not have voted for Hillary Clinton, and I'm using those two because that was the most recent thing, the most marginalized thing that came to my mind, then you should not be, you should be careful of how you word things.
Yeah.
Because if you can't have a physical one-on-one conversation with somebody, then you already know you can't talk about certain things.
Yeah.
If you as an adult can say, I can have these conversations, then test the waters with a person or two.
Yeah. I super respect how difficult that must be, Sarah, though, because you're in a very specific, I think, category of teachers. I think is like a very, as a former teacher, if you're no longer a teacher, then I think that that's different. But like when you are a teacher, that's like such a different,
that's a dynamic. That's a different dynamic.
That's a different dynamic.
That's a very different dynamic.
Yeah. Super. That's interesting.
Katie said, teacher here as well. I find it impossible to not share my politics, but it's how you do it.
Yeah.
I don't preach my views, but will answer most questions kids may ask me about them. And that's how it starts.
Totally.
You start by having the conversation, kind of like what we're doing.
Hi. Greetings. In general, I just want people to listen to each other more and stop screaming so much. People get so heated. People will let people go off and be like just super mean and not constructive or like.
People are so busy screaming and yelling at each other that they aren't listening.
I just don't listen. If I'm not going to scream at you in person, I'm not going to scream at you over the internet. That's just personally. I always envision myself like I'm not. I always
can't
envision
see you
someone
screaming
else.
at anybody.
That's you don't want to see me scream.
You wouldn't like her when she's angry.
You would not like me when I'm angry. Oh my gosh.
I think you've seen me angry once or twice.
But to be fair, when I'm angry, it's like the silent, you gonna get it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's it. It's the silent, like.
The mom voice. She's going to put on the mom voice. I've been there.
That's it. But I honestly can't even remember the last time that I like screamed at someone. I'm also very non-confrontational as well, which is something that I think does factor into this.
Yes.
Of like,
really enjoy constructive conversations, because for me, nothing good comes out of confrontation. I know how confrontation, like nothing good comes out of aggressive confrontation.
Yes.
Like I know how I feel when someone just shoots down what I'm saying and shoots down like in a mean or aggressive way. I know what that feels like, and I never want anybody else to feel like that because of something that I've said. And so it's kind of like the, you know, do as you would as you want others to do to you sort of deal.
Do unto others as they do unto you.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to sort of piggyback off of that by addressing Sarah's other comment.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put my job in jeopardy.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it depends on where you are regionally.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're in, and again, if you're in a red state, if you're in a blue state, it's going to determine how you are received. If you work in a public school or if you work in a, what's the other one? Private school.
Hi.
I'm here.
Hi.
If you work in a public or private school, it's going to determine how you are received.
Yeah.
And that's, it varies from person to person, as does most politics. It varies from person to person. Anderson said, I think every good conversation is give and take. It's really important that you try your best to learn at least something new in the conversation. Yes.
Totally. Asking questions is huge. Like, I feel like people just don't in general ask enough questions. It's so many statements and no questions, you know? So many blanket statements.
A lot of blanket
and
statements.
0 questions. And it's like,
true.
I would love to ask somebody that like has a wildly different view of me, like, explain to me where that comes from. Like, explain to me
what drove you to this
decision. Like, I would really like to know.
I did
you know? And like,
that.
some people will never tell you. Some people will never tell you, and you're never going to get it out of them. But I think that like asking more questions is something that we can all do, you know? Keep the conversation going, ask more questions. Maybe you'll learn something about like what bends people to think that way and how we can better communicate with one another.
Not too off topic.
Yeah.
Alana Leilani had posted a status the other day about bisexuality isn't exclusively man and woman. It can be man and non-binary. It could be female and transgender. Like it's not exclusively boy-girl.
Right.
And at the time I was like, well, I always thought that bi was just boy-girl, and I said, pardon my ignorance, but again,
no, I thought about that too. I was like, what's the other option? I was like, well, there are tons of other options. That's true. You're right.
Asking a question, you're starting a conversation with someone about something you may not know about.
Yeah, instead of being like, that's ridiculous, Alana. Like that's completely outrageous, and like I don't understand where you're coming from. That makes no sense. Whatever. Like just taking a step back for a second and being like, well, are there other options? And there are.
How many times have we said in a number of our episodes, be kind to one another?
Don't expect the worst from everybody.
Kindness is free.
Yeah.
Give it away like government cheese.
Indeed.
We have been talking for an hour and 10 minutes.
It's true. And like 3 of those, the sound was
for about 5 of them, 3, 4, 5 of those minutes, we were silent.
It's true. We had a great conversation.
But... we were having a time talking about Harry Potter. Yeah. Oh my heavens.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But they're more than 2 languages. Wow, Walter, that was beautifully said. If someone's bilingual, they only speak 2 languages, but there are more than 2 languages on our planet.
Yeah. Yep. Anderson says, if you're trying to learn, you help avoid having an argument versus a conversation. Yeah, totally. And Eric says, be respectful as much as humanly possible. And that's it. Totally. Just respect one another. Like, and if you feel like the conversation is going in a heated route, be like, okay, I think we disagree on this one. And that's okay. But if you ever want to discuss it further, I'm here. But like recognizing too, I think when a conversation is getting more heated is like another thing. People just want to push.
It raises your anxiety to such obscene levels that you don't ever want to have these conversations with somebody again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I like literally just today, it's super interesting too. Today there's like a friend of mine posted an article that was about just like it was like a body positivity thing. And somebody commented on it and they said something that was like a little insensitive, but it wasn't outwardly mean. Like it was very clearly just like didn't necessarily like wasn't totally well thought through.
Yeah.
And somebody really nicely responded. And these two people had a conversation, and every once in a while this one person would come to the conversation and was being like really mean and really whatever. And like
that's a troll.
Yeah, and it was really like it was just really not productive. And literally I watched this girl who, to be fair, was in my opinion on the wrong side of things.
Yes.
Was even commented to this girl, she's like, can you please stop commenting unproductive things? And these two women, like literally at the end of this conversation said, I feel like I have learned something from this conversation. And I literally commented and said, I was like, can I just say that this is the most productive conversation that I've seen on Facebook in years? That just happened today. And I was like, the fact that the two of you kept it so calm, cool, and collected, asked each other questions. Like it was so wonderful. And I would love to see more of that. I would love to start having those conversations on social media again. But quite frankly,
it's very difficult because it's Facebook
time
land.
Consuming. It's Facebook land. And like, oh God, I would just much rather have the conversation in person at this moment. Cause it's just like in person, I think you're way less likely to yell at me. And if you do yell at me, listen, I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's all I'm saying. Not saying I'm going to do anything about it, but I'm just saying that I know it. You want to get armbar or what?
She a fighter.
Which is so funny because I'm not at all. I'm like the least competitive person. I'm not a fighter at all.
You're live. Live for your team,
I'm like the least competitive person. That's it. I mean, but I'll take you down, but like with a smile. Okay.
We have gone on and on about politics in the cosplay community.
Yes.
The end result being, if you are a cosplayer, you are already making a political statement by putting on an outfit.
Yeah. Whether you want to make that...
Choices were made.
Yeah, and whether you want to make really, really outward political statements on your social media is really up to you. Whether you want to support people that do that is up to you. Really, it's all up to you. Just be kind to one another.
Be kind, be respectful, and be humble, and take responsibility for your muck-ups.
Yeah. Yep.
The issue with many is that always the quiet ones. Sorry, I can't see. Oh, Jack.
I don't know.
What a way to end the conversation.
I also can't see. Me neither. But yeah, thank you guys so much for engaging so much in this conversation.
Yes, a lot of good engagement.
Really, really appreciate that. We are always open to the idea that we are wrong. And we're always open to the idea that of having a conversation. That's something that you and I think both really pride ourselves on.
Yes.
So the fact that a lot of you were really open to share your views on here means a lot. That's it. Yeah.
If you have something to say to us, say it.
Say it. We'll have a legit conversation about it. I'm not going to scream at you.
We will talk. She will not scream at you. I may howl once or twice.
That's it.
But that's about it. Our cosplayer of the week this week, because last week we had a photographer of the week. This week's cosplayer of the...
Who's our cosplayer of the week this week, Boo? Who is it? Why don't you tell us? Who would be? Who? Who would be? Who would be? We've lost.
We've lost
them, folks.
Oh, this pain.
Who would be?
Our cosplayer of the week this week is ObnoxiousTallGuy on Instagram. He is a very tall, luxurious cosplayer of color, and he is a wonderful human being.
Before you said of color, I was going to be like, much like Tom. But Tom is whiter than white.
Tom is ghost white.
Same.
Alabaster.
Otherwise
porcelain.
Similar. Otherwise similar.
You can find him on Instagram at ObnoxiousTallGuy.
Yes.
And we will have pictures, a post as we do all the time.
Works.
The next 2 weeks, Kristen may not be here.
Next week definitely not.
She will definitely not be here.
I will be in London.
She will be in London living it up, and she
Crying.
will more than likely try and steal away Meghan Markle's husband.
He okay.
Really?
Yeah, no,
I think
fine.
he's gorgeous.
I mean, he is gorgeous and very charming.
Handsome.
Like, don't get me wrong, like super charming. However, I'm like much more. Is Emma Watson around? Like, she's like, I'm much more interested in like,
yes.
where's Emma Watson? Where's Daniel Radcliffe? Really, where's Rupert Grint? Okay. That's it. I mean, like, I'm taken, but also, Rupert Grint, where are you? That's where you
I appreciate the glow up of Neville Longbottom.
Oh, Matthew Lewis. I can't even talk about that man. Listen, like...
He is a morsel.
That Longbottom, Joe. That Longbottom.
So, for the next 2 weeks... be on the lookout for Not Us.
Indeed.
Because she will not be here. The next week, it is a coin toss.
Yeah.
Events coming up for us. We have InBeyond Con in August. Yeah. We have a panel for Anime NYC, depending on how that process goes. Yeah. We are trying to get our hands in as many pies as humanly possible. And
if there are any cons that you want to see us guest at,
Email them.
Email those cons.
Email them.
Yo, have you seen Catt and Kristen? They have dope discussions, and like one of them's a Ravenclaw.
Yes.
Tom's a mix of houses.
Tom is all of the houses.
All the houses.
Every last one of them. I will admit, on Pottermore, I did get Hufflepuff, but if I take every other quiz, it is Ravenclaw or Slytherin. So I'm just an amalgamation of all the things.
I stand by Tom will forever be a Hufflepuff to me then. Which is great. Hufflepuffs are great.
I'm not saying anything against it.
Yeah, but but in your heart you are. Listen, I was there for the reaction of Tom was like, damn it. You just don't feel like a Hufflepuff.
I don't feel like a Hufflepuff. I don't feel like a I don't feel like a Slytherin.
You want to be a little adorable badger? You don't want to be a badger? A little badger? Yellow?
Oh, hell. Oh,
colors would go together so well.
They would, though.
Yeah.
Red, blue, green, and yellow.
Yeah, it's true. I love Caitlin is like my resident other. Caitlin is one of the few people in the world that I would consider like I know for a fact she's on my Harry Potter level.
Yes.
Like we just know that about one another, and I like she's like Pottermore is law, which is like how I feel. We're like, it's Pottermore. J.K. Rowling made that sorting quiz.
How many questions did I answer? 5?
No,
6?
a bunch.
I feel like I have answered.
Eric!
Yes, I know. Eric has finally said you're a puff.
Listen, you're great. Listen. It's great. Regardless, everyone, if you want to see my adventures in London, if you're a Harry Potter fan, for the record, and you want to see what I'm up to, because I'm going to be dying. Like, I'm on code red. Like, this is like, I'm going to go to platform 9 3/4. I'm going to cry the whole time. Like, if you want to see that, for the record, my Instagram, Shut Up Kristen, I'm sure I'll be posting all the stories, and eventually I'll probably post a vlog to my YouTube channel.
Yep.
And that's actually where you can find me. That's a good segue. You can find me at Shut Up Kristen on the internet if you want to find me. If you want to find Tom, where can they find you?
Tomcat Conmom on Facebook, the.tom.cat on Instagram, Tomcat Official on Twitter.
On the twatter.
On the twatter.
One of these days I'll like get fancy on OBS and I'll put our little handles underneath us. I could do that very easily, probably.
That would be everything.
I could totally do that very easily. I probably could do it like immediately.
Well, first we need to figure out the mic situation.
I don't even know what happens. I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know if right now the mic that's working is my mic. Like, I don't know if it's that or the...
We will find out, won't we?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Great.
Wow,
we're rambling men today. We're a rambling man.
Let me close the show. Ciao out for now, guys. Bye.
Bye. Are we gonna rename it Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw?